Hey guys, it's CJ. This is probably going to be the final video I do that's kind of chemo-centric. Just for a note, I'm putting what was lost first, only because sometimes it's seeing what you gave up. It's seeing what you might feel was taken from you that allows you to start kind of extracting those lessons that help you to grow. And that is exactly what kind of happened with me, and I did have some help, and I will talk about that as well. So right now we're going to start kind of what was the cost of 6 months of chemotherapy. And the first one, obviously, that you can also still hear is my voice. I had been struggling with my voice a little bit during COVID furlough, but once we got into chemotherapy, I certainly lost any ability to sing at all. And that was a kind of a tough telling point, because singing is the way I kind of deal with my own emotions, whether I'm singing in public, at a video, or just in my room. It doesn't really matter. So not being able to really make notes for about 3 or 4 months was a pretty hard bill to foot. Despite what you hear now, I have seen improvements since we, even in the 2 weeks since we've stopped chemo. So I am hopeful that that is returning. Most chemotherapies come with a steroidal component. And the problem with corticosteroids is that they encourage the body to use muscle, and they also encourage the body it promotes belly fat and body fat in general. I've lost a lot of muscle and I've gained body fat. And that is just the aesthetics portion. The performance portion has been a lot to swallow. My body performs at probably 30%, if that, of what it used to. About halfway through chemotherapy, I got an eye infection. It's called blepharitis, and I'm still struggling with that. So that is still a kind of a thing. It has gotten better, but it's still very much kind of there. And of course, my livelihood. You know, and the truth of the matter is that wasn't even during chemo. Like, if you're a trainer and you're out of the gym for any more than like a month, you are rebuilding your business basically from scratch. It's not like if I had gone on this leave of absence when I was in market research, I would have gone back to making what I was making when I left. And right now, when I go back to working out as a trainer, I'm going to be starting from zero. So it's like starting a new job. So that is just the kind of the fact. And lastly, my focus has certainly gone down. There is a thing they call chemo brain, and it's a reality. Your focus is really, really low. And so like I found myself going to the studio and not being able to work for more than 5 or 10 minutes. And literally the past 3 days I've spent probably 2 hours a day in the studio just working on revamping some of the music that I am working on. So there has been losses, and they've been significant. And the thing about losses is it's not the losses, it's what you do with them that either makes you stronger or makes you weaker. And there was significant gains, the very least of which was a perspective from myself. Seeing what people go through in the cancer center day in and day out, I mean, going there every single week and seeing heroics every week really changed my perspective, and that's still kind of working in me. It's not only about, oh, now you appreciate what you have. It's more along the lines of you see how there's so much commonality with people in almost any circumstance. And you know, one of the hardest things about anything is when you start feeling alone in it. And I definitely did, because I was in isolation a lot of the time when I was on chemotherapy. But the times, believe it or not, when I was in the cancer center or seeing the doctors were times which were both awful and awesome, because it was awful to have to go to the hospital, but it was awesome because I felt so surrounded and cared for. It really did shift my perspective. There were a lot of insights I got, which will probably be showing up into the hero of your story. I mean, certainly the insight of how temporary everything is. We tend to live our lives like there's a guarantee of tomorrow, and there's simply not. And when you are dealing with something and witnessing something as impactful as chemotherapy and the different people that I saw in the cancer center being treated, you realize the immediacy of life. You realize how important it is to live your best self. Your big life, your greatest life might be simply going to work every day and coming home and taking care of your family. That's a great life. There's nothing wrong with that. Great doesn't mean big. It just doesn't. And I've had to really think about that myself, because I certainly have bought into that at points. So there was a lot of perspective shifts. I can tell you right now that my focus is coming back, like I said before, but also you start realizing what you focus on is so important, because it just determines how you're feeling on the day. And I had to learn to harness my focus, because you're constantly faced with these things that hijack your focus and get you started thinking in terms of, this is, and then there's this, and I have to deal with that, and this is all bad and wrong and everything else. But what you're going through is not necessarily who you are or how you feel. What you are going through can be simply what you're going through. And again, you can extract lessons from that. So that kind of dovetails into something I've also been talking about for quite some time, which is this concept of the hero of your story. And there's going to be more videos on that. That is the direction I want to go in with videos. But I will start with saying this. What it means to be the hero of your story is, it was learning to say, what can I do here? What can I bring to the table here? Despite how everything looks like it's all sideways, what can I do? What can I be? How can I face this? And when you look at it that way, you are assuming your own power. You are saying that I am cause in this. And not blame, and not, maybe I wouldn't have gotten this disease if I hadn't A, B, or C. That's useless. The thing's there, it's done, it's on, it's the way it is. But to be able to look at it and say, instead of just reacting to it, how can I create from it? And that really is the bedrock belief system that supports the concept of being the hero of your story. And of course, the second piece is tell a new story. We tend to tell the same stories over and over again. My job, well, that sucks. I was in traffic, and like if 10 good things happened and 2 bad things happened, what are you talking to all your friends about? One of the other things I gained certainly was a sense of self-care. When you're going through something as traumatic as chemotherapy, as impactful as chemotherapy, you need to become a self-advocate. You need to become, not only while interfacing with the medical system and the insurance system and all that, but literally for the self in you that's being so wounded, you need to become a self-advocate. You need to know, what does it take for me to take care of myself? I didn't do it perfectly at all, but I did learn to start doing it in healthy ways. I mean, a lot of times it's easy to confuse self-care with self-indulgence. And self-indulgence really doesn't serve. It certainly makes you feel good in the moment, but many times it not only doesn't feel good long-term, it actually feels worse long-term. So I certainly got that insight. It really was about those kind of things. It was like the insights and the lessons that I felt like made me a better person, because it made me see things from an experiential level, not just a theoretical level. And by the way, extracting those lessons was something I did a lot of, but it's not like I did it always alone. I've had brilliant conversations with people like KC, my friend Diane, Ellen and Steve, my newest friend Casey. We've had conversations that really allowed me to see what I was going through in a different light. And once you do that, that again is changing your perspective. Once you do that, you can begin to create from a different place. And that just leaves us with, what's next? Well, that's gonna be the shortest part of this video. I've already spent 2 weeks detoxing. I was just really taking care of myself, eating as healthy as I could. I've had good days and bad days, even with detox. I mean, when we did the final dose of chemo, there was a kind of a hallelujah moment. But you forget the fact that still means that whole rest of the week is a normal chemo week. So really, I only started detoxing at Monday this past week, and I felt all the kind of things you usually feel during a detox. But the detox is it's going well, and there's also been days where I felt like, oh my God, I feel like a human again. So it's really proceeding well. So once beyond detox, and actually starting tomorrow, I'm going to start my recovery protocol. So I will be starting to exercise a little bit more vigorously. I am allowed to start taking, like multivitamins and green drinks. So I will be upping my nutritional game. I did my food shopping over this week, and I already have a kind of a whole menu laid out for the week. It's kind of different. It's kind of more whole foods based. It's not so much performance based, macro based. It's really just based on eating well, and eating as natural as I can. And then at that point, I start rebuilding. So there's a lot to rebuild. There's a lot to rebuild. As you heard, there was a lot lost, and all that stuff can be rebuilt. I can rebuild my voice. I can certainly, I believe I can rebuild my body, both in aesthetics and in performance. And then the kind of rebuild of my life, getting back to my vocation of not only training, but music and working on the Hero of Your Story curriculum. I still think that holds value. And I think I want to explore it, and maybe, we'll have you guys check it out and see what you think. So there's a lot. We still have to deal with my insurance, disability. I am certainly not cleared yet by the doctor to go back to work. And, right now, the current date for that is sometime, I think, in August or September. So we have a bit of a hole yet. And there's a lot of uncertainty there about how that's going to be feasible. And that's going to all have to be dealt with piece at a time. So there is good news on the horizon, and I feel much better. Just getting out and going shopping, I feel like a person. I really feel like, as I said, despite how it sounds today, my voice has actually been much better. I've actually been able to hit notes, and I think if I can get consistent practice in, I'm going to see a real uptick in my vocal performance. And then who knows, maybe by the end of the summer, I might be able to do a gig or something. Who knows? But we'll see. And at the very least, maybe I'll start posting some music videos as well. So that's what's going on. That's what's next. Again, as I've said so many times, thank you for coming along with me. If it wasn't for you people, I really don't know what I would have done. And of course, huge shout out to my family, who have been in such close contact, as close as they could be. They've really helped me to get through this. And again, as I've said before, to all those people I had those brilliant conversations with, you're the ones that helped me take this awful sauce and make it into like awesome sauce. So thank you so much again. And I will be talking to you guys very soon. Take care of yourselves. You're very, very important.